The Senate will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Senators Baisley, Bridges, Buckner,
Excused.
Coleman, Cutter, Danielson, Exum, Fields, Gardner, Janal, Gonzalez, Hanson, Hinrichsen, Jaquez Lewis, Kirkmeyer, Kolker, Liston, Lundin, Marchman, Moreno, Mullica, Pelton B, Pelton R, Priola, Rich, Roberts, Rodriguez,
Absent.
Simpson, Smallwood, Sullivan, Van Winkle, Will, Winter, Zenzinger, Rodriguez. Mr. President.
Here. The morning roll call is 34 present, 0 absent, 1 excused. We have a quorum. Will the good senator from Colorado Springs please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Mr. President. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Van Winkle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate Journal of Friday, February 3rd be approved as corrected by our excellent secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no? No! The ayes have it, and that motion is adopted. Senate Services.
February 6, 2023, correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 46, Senate Joint Resolution 5.
Message from the House.
February 3rd, 2023, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revisor of Statutes House Bill 1116, 1051, and 1021, amended as printed in House Journal February 1st, 2023. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revisor of Statutes House Bill 1005 and 1040. The House has adopted and returns herewith Senate Joint Resolution 5.
Message from the Revisor.
February 3rd, 2023, we herewith transmit without comment House Bill 1005 and 1040 without comment as amended House Bill 1021, 1051, and 1116.
Third reading of bills. Final passage. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 46?
Senate Bill 46, Senator Winter, Representative Duran, concerning the calculation of a covered individual's average weekly wage for paid family and medical leave benefits.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move on third reading and final passage, Senate Bill 46.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 46. Are there any no votes? Senators Van Winkle, Will, Baisley, Rich, Gardner, Minority Leader Lundin, Smallwood, Kirkmeyer, Liston, Pelton B, Pelton R, Simpson. With a vote of 22 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 46 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Marchman, Priola, Fields, Cutter, Rodriguez, Majority Leader Moreno, Jaquez Lewis, Danielson, Sullivan, Henriksen, Hanson, Gonzalez, Exum, Coleman. I got you. General orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted and the Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of the general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Bridges will take the chair.
The committee will come to order and the coat rule is not relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title of the bill on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
Senate Bill 23, Senators Rich and Marchman, Representative Holtorf, concerning CPR training for high school students.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the passage of all the bills on the general orders second reading of bills consent calendar, which includes Senate Bill 23 and its associated Education Committee report.
Is there any discussion of the committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The committee report is adopted. Is there any discussion of the bill? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the bill on the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. That bill is adopted. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
Motion is for the committee to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The committee will rise and report. You know, you never stay up there for that long. Not me.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a bill under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report it has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 23 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 23 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Consideration of governor's appointments, consent calendar. Will the clerk please read all of the appointments listed on the consent calendar?
Executive Director of the Department of Early Childhood for a term beginning on May 16, 2022 and expiring with the pleasure of the Governor, Lisa Roy of Denver, Colorado. Appointed members of the Colorado Educational and Cultural Facilities Authority Board of Directors for terms beginning June 30, 2022, expiring June 30, 2026. Jenny Gentry of Denver, Colorado, Democrat. Reappointed Cameron Maskell of Denver, Colorado, and unaffiliated appointed.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments on the consent calendar, which includes the Executive Director of the Department of Early Childhood and the members of the Colorado Educational and Cultural Facilities Authority Board of Directors.
Is there any discussion? The motion is the confirmation of all of the appointments on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, those appointments are confirmed. Consideration of governor's appointments. Will the clerk please read the appointment to the Front Range Passenger Rail District Board?
Member of the Front Range Passenger Rail District Board for a term expiring April 1st, 2026, Danae Escar of Pueblo, Colorado, to serve as a representative of Environmental Conservation appointed.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of Danae Escar to the Front Range Passenger Rail District Board.
Is there any discussion? Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, good morning. Look, in the words of the great American philosopher Yogi Berra, this feels like deja vu all over again. Look, we heard this appointment consideration in Transportation and Energy last week. Madam Majority Leader Danae Esgar, have tremendous respect for the Majority Leader and her efforts, particularly in Pueblo and Southern Colorado. But colleagues, I think this actually goes beyond, the intention of what the statute recognized as appointments for this board, which I happen to have supported the creation of the Front Range Passenger Rail District. I was very supportive of this when it was heard in this body. But I'll highlight for you again, not just the legislative intent, but what's structured the language in creating the governor appointments to this board. 6 directors appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Senate. The directors appointed by the governor shall support the purposes of the district as outlined in subsection 2 of this section and must have a professional experience or expertise in the following areas: transportation or public finance, supporting a statewide employee organization, passenger rail system development or operations, and environmental conservation. So Majority Leader Esgar's appointment was to fill this expertise in environmental, not just expertise, professional experience or expertise in environmental conservation. You can review Majority Leader Esgar's resume. Short of her time here in the legislature, it's difficult to find a connection to conservation easement or conservation, environmental conservation. But I did pull the history of bills that Majority Leader Esgar sponsored in her tenure here under natural resources and environment. There were 57 bills she was a sponsor on. Of the 57, though, there were only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them where she was a prime sponsor of the bill in this category. Again, natural resources and environment. One of them was Hunter Safety Pink. One of them was the Species Conservation Trust Fund. One of them was state park improvement appropriation. One of them was a robust check station for aquatic nuisance species. One of them was the operational fund for the mine land reclamation, repeal of that fund. Another one was a repeal of the waste grease program. And the other one was a Muscle-Free Colorado Act. That was the extent of Majority Leader Esgar's engagement in the legislature around environmental conservation. Colleagues, this is a project I'm supportive of. This is a Front Range Passenger Rail District that extends from the New Mexico state line along the I-25 corridor north all the way to Wyoming. It's like 300 miles. And yet this board has no environmental conservation representation on the board. Majority Leader Esgar is appointed, nominated, and considered to fill that huge need in this capacity. I wonder where the environmental community is. They really should be engaged here and go, there's no representation on the governor's appointments as dictated in statute for that environmental conservation effort. I can't imagine how many wildlife corridors, endangered species, conservation easements. There's an abundance of probably challenges in this creation of this district and the effort to increase ridership, in a rail transportation district. Hugely important to me. I drive the I-25 corridor routinely, getting back and forth to here, and recognize I think there's a need there. I think there's a potential solution with this district. I just, with all due respect, do not believe Majority Leader Esgar comes close to fulfilling the requirements of that level of expertise in this role. For that reason, I was a no vote in Transportation and Energy Committee last week, and would encourage you all to please think about that and hold the governor accountable to put folks in these positions that meet the statutory requirement. And with those comments, Mr. President, I will be a no vote today as well. Thank you.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would say that the majority leader is highly qualified for this position. When we talk about financial background, she served her time on the Joint Budget Committee, which I think made her one of the best appointments we could do for this board, because they have a big road ahead of them in order to make the Front Range Rail financially doable. Additionally, every single bill that involved the Southwest Chief or the Front Range Rail, whether her name was on it or not, she was intimately involved in making sure that we got the progress to have Front Range Rail get this far. If we talk about her environmental qualifications, I think we all understand the unique circumstances of Pueblo and their environmental justice issues they have, and she has been involved in working on those environmental issues as a community member, an organizer, a legislator, a mom. And since it was brought up as a question of where's the environmental community on this appointment, I would say I've talked to many folks within the environmental community that look forward to the majority leader's strong advocacy and voice to ensure the success of the Front Range Rail Authority. And so I think academically she's qualified, professionally she's qualified, personally she's qualified, and she is going to bring passion and tenacity that this board needs.
Senator Pelton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Although, members, I will tell you that my respect for Majority Leader Escar is, I have a lot for her, respect for her. As a commissioner, I testified in front of her committees very, very many times, and she asked a lot of good questions, a lot of concerning questions, and my respect for her is paramount. But my problem with this appointment was just simply that Majority Leader Escar has no formal education in environmental conservation. Her professional experience is primarily working in legislative committees and on legislation, some of which focus on environmental conservation. However, it does not convey the most useful experience to the board. That was the reason why I voted no on this appointment, and I ask you to vote no on this today, to consider that, to consider the facts that she doesn't have a formal education. I will say again, I respect Majority Leader Escar for what she did in the legislature. I just don't think that this is the right appointment right now for this board. Thank you.
Senator Rich.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm up here today in strong opposition to this appointment, and I hope that we will consider the actual spirit of the legislation, that whoever is appointed must collectively have professional experience. A direct quote from former Representative Escar's website: she has worked as a television news producer, in higher education, and as a community organizer focusing on poverty and communities of color in Pueblo. She is known for her work on issues of equality, education, justice, and poverty. There is nothing on her website that even mentions environmental conservation, something that she would obviously showcase based on her experience that this appointment requires. I urge a no vote.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the confirmation of the governor's appointment to the Front Range Passenger Rail District Board. Are there any no votes? Senators Van Winkle, Will, Simpson, Baisley, Pelton, Rich, Liston, Gardner, Minority Leader Lundin, Kirkmeyer, Smallwood. With a vote of 22 ayes, 12 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, that appointment is confirmed. Will the clerk please read the appointments to the Board of Trustees for Western Colorado University?
Members of the Board of Trustees for Western Colorado University for a term expiring December 31st, 2023. Millie Hamner of Dillon, Colorado, occasioned by the resignation of Pamela Shattuck of Greeley, Colorado, appointed effective January 1st, 2023 for terms expiring December 31st, 2026. David Weens of Gunnison, Colorado, appointed. James Preble of Louisville, Colorado, reappointed.
Senator Marchman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of Dr. Millie Hamner, Mr. David Weens, and Mr. James Preble to the Board of Trustees for Western Colorado University.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the confirmation of the governor's appointments to the Board of Trustees for Western Colorado University. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, those appointments are confirmed. I could really use a beer right about now. Anybody over here have a beer to share? Announcements. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, on your desk this morning, you got an announcement of the Youth Mental Health Action Day breakfast outside the old Supreme Court chamber on Wednesday morning, day after tomorrow, 7:45. I think all of you know that youth mental health has been a concern of all the members of the General Assembly and the governor as well. I have carried several bills along with several of you on youth mental health, and Wednesday is the action day. Come speak with the folks, advocates from that community, 7:45 outside the old Supreme Court chamber. Thank you.
Senator Will.
Thank you, Mr. President. So our co-chairs from the Senate for Congressional Sportsmen are Senator Roberts and I. And tomorrow, if you haven't RSVP'd, please do so, because the event's down at the Buckhorn Exchange, 6 o'clock tomorrow. If you lost your flyer or you need the contact information, get a hold of either one of us. But please join Colorado Hunters and Anglers for an evening of gourmet wild game, cocktails, conversation, and the menu is going to be a variety of stuff, but elk, quail, duck, salmon, buffalo, Rocky Mountain oysters, alligator, calamari. You can't beat it. So be there, be square.
Good job. Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. You're just being handed a flyer this morning for Disability Rights Advocacy Day. I'll probably make another quick announcement a little closer to the date, but please, if you can, make time in your morning schedule to greet the guests who are here to advocate for the rights of disabled Coloradans. It'll be March 1st. Thanks so much.
Senator Pelton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow morning, Bible study again down in the basement. There's always breakfast and then good, healthy discussion around Bible study. So room 109, 7:45 in the morning. Thank you.
Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I have a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, listen up. Raise your hands if you have the best craft breweries in your district. Look at that. Everybody thinks they have the best craft brewery in their districts. So do I, in Fort Collins. I can say that right. The point is, that Colorado is home to over 450 craft brewers, and these small business owners employ 17,000 people, and they have an economic impact of $2.5 billion, $2.5 billion per year. Our Colorado brewers are a major tourist destination for both people here in Colorado, in the nation, and internationally. Please welcome the members of the Colorado Brewers Guild who are joining us today over on the floor, and give them a warm welcome. Thanks for visiting us at the Capitol. Thanks for all the wonderful brews that you make.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Transportation and Energy will be meeting at 1:30 today, and we will be doing appointments to the Orphaned Wells Mitigation Enterprise Board as well as the Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. I look forward to seeing you there.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:30 a.m., the Senate Appropriations Committee will be meeting to discuss this right here and all of the bills contained herein. These bills have not been read across the desk yet, which is why they are not on the calendar. They have numbers, though, already in here, which is curious, but I'm sure that's just a little bit of predictive work going on. So please read this. If you have questions, concerns, comments, thoughts, things you'd like to add, we are meeting again tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. Appropriations is the committee of reference for these bills. So we look forward to hopefully hearing them on the floor very soon afterwards. Thank you.
Senator Marchman.
The Senate Education Committee is going to meet at 1:30 today in Committee Room 357 to hear 4 bills. Thank you very much.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Judiciary Committee will be meeting this afternoon, 1:30 in the Old Supreme Court. We will be hearing the following bills in the following order: Senate Bill 24, Senate Bill 54, Senate Bill 34, Senate Bill 64, House Bill 1049, and House Bill 1033. See you at 1:30.
Senator Kolker.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I have a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you. This week marks the beginning of National School Counselor Week. If you know a school counselor, please thank them. Make sure that you also pay attention to any bills and anything that may be coming up that will address the shortage in school counselors. I have a picture on my phone that gave me a good reminder that it's School Counselor Week. It happened to come from my wife, as she is one, so thank you very much.
Further announcements. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, just as a reminder, the House is currently hearing a memorial for former Representative Mike McLaughlin. So if you'd like to be part of that, you are welcome in the House chamber. That is currently going on. I know I saw former Senators Lee and Kagan, and somehow Senator Gardner is over there right now, even though we're still in session. But please, again, feel free to head over there if you'd like to speak on that memorial. With that, Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess until 11 a.m. today. Colleagues, you do not need to return. We're simply reading bills across the desk.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will recess until 11 a.m. today.